Hi there, this is Josh, and today I'm going to be introducing a new foodie book tag. Earlier in the year I had the cheese book tag, and a few months back the cookie book tag, so I decided to introduce a new member to this family, and that is the butter book tag. You may be asking why butter? First off, butter is probably one of the greatest backstage ingredients that there is. Many of your greatest dishes, your pasta dishes, your baked goods, contain butter. Like these right here, Hotel Bar in Land O'Lake. In addition, I realized that in the classic video game Super Mario World, the Twin Bridges level consisted of the Cheese Bridge area, Cookie Mountain, Soda Lake, and the Butter Bridges. So I thought that I should fulfill the desire of butter with that. I may think of something for a soda book tag, unless somebody else has already come up with it, or if they want to come up with it. But anyway, let's dive right into the butter book tag. The first four are actually brands, which I think would, either way you can answer the question, because it's a question that anybody can answer. If you're not very fond of them, you can always switch them out for things that are related to butter. But first one is Land O'Lakes. Like this here, I enjoy this olive oil and sea salt on as the base that goes on top of the garlic bread. And that is a favorite book about the American West. And for that, I chose The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman, Alexie. As much as Westerns are very much about cowboys, and then Indians either take on a smaller role or as antagonists, I feel that the Native American tribes or the Indian tribes are crucial to what the American West is about. I think that they make up a great deal of what America in itself is about. And cowboys didn't really have a big role in history. But in this particular novel, Junior actually talks about his experiences of growing up on a reservation and then branching out to a regular school, and how it is such a tough journey, but he approaches it with a sense of humor, and it's just really fun to read, and especially since he wants to get into art and illustration. The illustrations are very clever in here, too. Next one is Hotel Bar, just like these sticks of butter. And that is a notable book you read on vacation. And my choice is The Cheese Plate by Max McCalman and David Gibbons. This is very noteworthy because The Cheese Plate is the only thing that I got when I went to Disney World. That was my only purchase, believe it or not. For me, I'm not a big souvenir person. I am such a massive book collector that it takes up a lot of space to begin with, and I really am not going to buy a pencil or a pen with a Disney character on it that is going to run out of ink in a month or two. So, but regarding The Cheese Plate, I think that it is a brilliant testament of one man's passion for cheese and how it has helped him become maître fromager in New York City. Next one is Imperial, like this margarine, which I prefer butter over margarine, but I think it made for an interesting topic point, and that is a favorite book about royalty. And my choice is the play Macbeth by William Shakespeare in this massive collection that was only $7.98. This is going to give you just about everything he has written, so I highly suggest that you purchase this if you have not done so. But what I liked about Macbeth is that it went over the flaws of what it is to be a king or queen and what flows through your mind when you are power hungry and the consequences of your actions. The next one and the last brand is Country Crock, which is also a margarine. I think I'm going to be giving these away anyhow to someone in the family that may want them. But a book you would take on a camping trip. And that one would be Dark Mountain by Richard Lehman. I think that Richard Lehman is an underrated horror fiction writer. His works are very light, but they're also very enjoyable. There is a great horror element to it, and he also has this strange but witty sense of humor. And this is a book about a camping trip gone wrong, so perfectly appropriate. Next one is Margarine, which is your favorite sequel or spinoff. And for that, I chose The Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling. It is my favorite book in the Harry Potter series because I like how it strays away from the common routine, and it introduces the Triwizard Tournament, which I felt was well done and fascinating. And it also proved to be the turning point of the entire series and showed that things can get dark and leave a mark. No rhyme intended. Next one is Bread. Your favorite literary partnership, whether it be between writers or characters, which, if it has to do with writers, it would be the non-fictional pairing of Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, even though they were part of rival newspapers, and they fought against one another quite frequently on their show. But I'm going to do a literary partnership, and I'm going to say Adam and Lee from East of Eden. Adam was a man with several flaws. He got himself into a dysfunctional marriage, and Lee was the one who served him, and Lee proved to be that soft-spoken but very wise individual that allowed Adam and his sons to live a relatively level-minded life. The next one is Popcorn, a book that you felt played out like a movie. It's quite a common trend that people write with the intent that their book is going to eventually become a movie, which in some ways it's good motivation, but I think the most important part is you come out with a great work. But my choice is the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. If you have followed me along long enough, you would know that The Hunger Games was a brilliant novel and a great idea, and that Catching Fire and Mockingjay, I felt, Catching Fire was mediocre, and I really did not like Mockingjay, which I felt it became a bit of a checklist of things that we need to do. Next one is Churn, a book that you struggled to get through. And my choice for that is Irvine Welsh's If You Like School, You'll Love Work. I thought it was so hard to get through that I put this down with no intent to return to it. It was a DNF because the language with which it is written and the slang really was a challenge in itself, and the content and material I was not very fond of either. I thought that they were... I didn't like them. I think that it just wasn't something that I enjoyed reading, and to me it wasn't worth it. Next one is Julia Child, who enjoyed cooking with butter and had quite an admiration for its contributions to the culinary world. And for her, to honor her, she's going to get her own segment, and that would be a great French classic. And for that one, I chose The Stranger by Albert Camus. I felt that this was such a brilliant existential work, and I think that when looking at this novel, you would have to think to yourself, can we really look through the mind of a stranger? And if so, what exactly would they be thinking? And it's interesting to get their point of view because it's just so very much on the surface. Next one is Butterscotch, a sweet poem or short story. And one that has always struck me as being sweet is We Are Seven by William Wordsworth. We went over that on the 3rd episode of our show. And I always enjoy talking about it and going over it because We Are Seven is basically a poem about the innocence in children and how we tend to complicate things as adults, but the young girl in this poem, when looking at her deceased relatives, to her, they may be buried, but they're still there, and they are equally deserving of the love that they were given when they were living, or when they were alive, and they also deserve the equal amount of love as her living siblings. And the last one is Spread. Who do you tag? I am going to tag 10 people, which is usually my go-to number for a book tag that I just created. I'm going to be choosing Amy from the Dusty Bookshelf, since she has done both the cheese and cookie book tag. Anakin from Bookish Blues. Chris from Chris Vigilante Reads. Jacob from Jacob Tanner. Claire from The Book Fox. Sam from Novels and Nonsense. Alyssa from Sushi Dragon Master. Bria from Breezy Reads. Brandon from Books and Beer. And Stephanie from Stuff Camp. And if you have not done the cheese or cookie book tag, I'm going to leave links to those down below as well. And if you want to do them, by all means, please check them out as well and do your own version. And I'll be happy to watch it and share it because I enjoy when people engage in my book tags, and I enjoy engaging in the book tags that I'm tagged in too. Thank you for watching, and for now, enjoy a dish with some butter and keep reading.